Muhammad. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. The sacred, the Nahda Husayniyya, the sacred uprising of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, that movement extends across time and place. It's not just sat in that era, in that time, and done like something happened in history and stayed there. This movement continues. Its flame does not fade, rather it grows brighter with passing of the days and succession and throughout centuries. It remains alive, active, and influential in both the Islamic and human conscious. Not just Islam looks at Imam Hussein's revolution across the world, across centuries in history, shaping reality itself. Then how then was it able to transcend the boundaries of time and place, all throughout the time and place? What factors have preserved its presence and influence throughout 14th century? What made that movement, what made that uprising last through the centuries, that everybody looks at it as an example for standing up against the oppressors? In few different ways. One of them is its divine nature and the sacredness of its objective. Qadasat that message, Qadasat that revolution, and the universal value it carried. Imam Hussein's revolution, not just for Shia, not just for Muslims, it carried value for all human beings. The universal value it carried, and the greatness of its sacrifice that it offered. Every generation throughout. The fifth factor, the ability of Imam Hussein's movement to renew itself with every era, every time in history, that revolution renewed itself. It is not tied to a specific historical circumstances. In every age, there is oppression, and there is justice. Every age, every time, every century, every few decades. There is oppression and justice, truth and falsehood, arrogance and oppression of the weak. They always try and oppress the weak. In every age, there is corruption, deviation, tyrants, and wrongdoers. That throughout history, since Adam's days till these days. People therefore need a comprehensive reform movement. That's why we read in history, we see revolution after revolution. We see people, every country, in every era, in every continent, there's always some revolution happen throughout history. People always need a reform movement. For this reason, the movement of Imam Hussain alayhi salam remains a pioneering model throughout human history. And successive generations continue to draw inspiration from Imam Hussain and that revolution, that uprising. Every generation reads it through the language of their own. Everybody interpreted their way. Everybody interpret from it what they could use to help them in their revolution. They take from it what would help them succeed in their uprising. They take from it its own and derives it from the solution it needs to confront oppression and tyranny. This is what enabled it to endure and keep its flame burning through the ages without losing its authenticity. The sixth factor is the historical and missionary role that played by Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam and Sayyidah Zainab as well alayhi salam. The role that they played Had they not played their roles, maybe that revolution would have stayed in history, maybe even forgotten throughout. If not forgotten, maybe it would just be diminished completely, like something very tiny, something very small that people will just talk about. But the role that Sayyida Zainab and Imam Zain al-Abidin, that the role they played, that was a major event. That was part of that revolution. Their role was not separate from the overall plan of the movement. Imam Hussain prepared them for that mission. They were ready for it. And they carried it out unparalleled excellence, perfectly. They did their role absolutely perfect. They became the doctrinal, intellectual, moral, and media extension of the blessed movement. It's a major media movement. This Ashura that we do every year, when we do the majalis of Ashura over and over again, it's a major media campaign that keep reviving this revolution, keep reviving the uprising of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. That movement that he created, that keep on evolving over and over. We may say that had it not been for what they accomplished, the impact of the Hussain movement would have been limited, perhaps lost, like many efforts that find no one to preserve it throughout its legacy throughout history. You look at most recent history, you see communists, for example. They had their days for decades. People that were involved, people that were living there, they thought this is a solution for everything, for everybody. Ended up being not solution. Ended up creating an issue, and then it faded away. At one point, that system just collapsed. That's why there's nothing to revive. It's not a perfect system. It's not something that works well for everybody, so it kind of collapsed. Versus Imam's Hussein's revolution, it's for every era, for every time in history, for every decade, every year, every century, it gets revived. It gets embodied again, and then people pick up on it. Not necessarily Muslim, everybody. If you look in history of the movement in India, even India, they took the example of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. That peaceful movement that Imam Hussain started reflected on India's revolution toward freedom. That's what Gandhi did. He mentioned Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Hence it's been said that the Hussain movement was created by Imam Hussain and preserved by Imam Zain al-Abidin and Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This was achieved through the sermons they delivered in Kufa and in Syria back then. Even in Syria, when it was completely opposite to Ahlul Bayt, it was the Umayyad stronghold, yet they still delivered their sermon and it was effective. In those speeches, they explained to the people who Hussain was and the true nature of his movement, why he was rising up, while exposing Yazid and the Umayyad project. In doing so, they transformed the Umayyad military victory into a political and a moral defeat. Yazid and his army won the battle, that's true. They killed Imam Hussain, they killed everybody with him, all his companions, but in the end, it was a major defeat for the Umayyad. And now history remembers them as the tyrant they are. The seventh factor is the Sha'air al-Husayniyya, the ritual, the Hussaini ritual and commemoration. These include the gathering to mourn Imam Hussain, lectures, procession, chest beating, latmiya that we do, the ceremonies, the pilgrimage, poetry and elegies, the visitation of Imam Hussain, which you see these days. There's over 20 million people visit the shrine of Imam Hussain in Iraq. That movement, just imagine, they tried to erase that completely. They tried to erase everything about Ahlul Bayt. They killed everybody. They took the sabaya, they took all of that, versus what we see now, more than 25 million people visit Imam Hussain. That's just around Ashura days. Imagine throughout the year, how big is that number? as well as what is known as the Hussaini literature and other activities that continue to develop and diversify over time. All of these are continual, renewed means of keeping the cause of Hussain alive, and they are among the most important reasons for its survival and continuity. On the survival and continuity, I don't know if any of you following the news or not, but Bahrain, since about 2 months ago, so far, I know a month ago, so far they have over 30 alim that they have arrested. They put in jail ahead of time, ahead of Ashura, ahead of Muharram. They know how it works in Bahrain. They arrested all these alim, thinking that they can just kill that movement. Because the street of Bahrain gets filled with people demonstrating and showing up in Muharram to commemorate Imam Hussein's Shahada. They put over 30 alim in like 1 weekend, and then they continue arresting. And yesterday they arrested another Radud in Bahrain as well. The guy was very famous doing the Ashura stuff. Also, they arrested him last night. They put out warning that this commemoration on the street cannot go over past 12. Like, they're making it as difficult as possible to put boundaries on it, and the only target or the only goal out of that, what they do in Bahrain, that tyrant leader, that tyrant king or prince or whatever he is, that's like just a typical Yazid personality. Everything he's doing to kind of compel that movement, basically just they don't want to see Ashura being commemorated. They're doing all that's possible, everything they can. Especially in Bahrain, it happens everywhere. It's not something new in Bahrain, by the way. In Iraq during Saddam's days, also so many alim got killed. There is an alim the other day I was reading about him. Inshallah, we'll talk about it in different khutbah. They arrested him, picked him up from his house, arrested him and a few other companions with him. This is not too long ago, just, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Saddam's military took him, dug a hole in the ground. They threw them all. This is a major alim, a marja in Shia. They put him and buried him alive. They said that alim was buried alive. He was still breathing when they're putting the sand on top of him. This is throughout history we've been going through that. They always want to compel that movement. They always want to compel that reviving of Ashura. That's why it's so important for us to continue doing Ashura, to attend Ashura. This is the message that we have to keep it up for the generation to come. And that's what make people realize what Ashura means for us, for everybody. That revolution, that uprising, it compelled people to uprise and stand up to oppression. That guy in Bahrain is just non-stop. He kept trying. The concept people to the Imam himself. They connected people to Imam himself, his movement and his sacred mission. They connect them to his doctrine, intellectual, moral, and emotional. They preserve his movement from being forgotten and prevent his memory from becoming merely a statistic, historical event. You see, every year it increases in numbers. These tyrants that try to stop that movement, every time they try, that movement rise up again. They don't understand our aqidah, our doctrine. They don't know. Every time they push us on it, we rise up stronger. We rise up and more defiant. And that's what's happening in Bahrain nowadays. Keep pushing on it. Keep trying to press them down so they don't make that movement. Then people are rising up. People going to the street, even if they're going to be killed, they're still going down to the street to commemorate Ashura. Rather, they keep it alive in the consciousness of people, making this ritual an annual renewal of memory, values, and meaning. Many people migrated to the West. How important Ashura is. Just like us, all of us. We have many people migrated to the West. We left our home country, we came to the West. We lived here for decades. I've been here over 4. We lived here for decades. And some may have forgotten much of their religion practice. We all know, we all have friends and family members and stuff. Some have forgotten their religious practice. Yet their attachment to the gathering of Ashura has not weakened. If you notice, those people, even if they lack in practice, in religion, they lack in prayer, they lack whatever, fasting or any other practice in Islamic duties, but when it comes to Ashura, you see these people attend Ashura. These people still come to Ashura. That Ashura doesn't leave you. Once you know about it, it doesn't get out of your mind and your heart. It just brings them together. It brings these people back into it. So the gathering of Ashura has not weakened them. It remains a mean of bringing them back to the religion commitment. This is one of the importance of Ashura. This is one of the importance of Imam Hussein's revolution, alayhi salam. That no matter what, that brings people back. Little example, last night in City of Bell at Hussainiyya, the night before, I walked in and I recognized somebody. It's not religious. I know for a fact he doesn't pray, doesn't fast, but living his life in the West like Westerner. But when it came to Ashura, I walked in, I was surprised I saw him in there. He goes, oh, no, I will not miss Ashura. It's that commitment that when he comes and starts seeing everybody else, that most of the time brings that person back to the practice of the religion, back to the practice of his Islamic duty. So it's a place where people gathers people, and whoever is kind of stepped away a little bit from practice of Islam will bring them back. This is one of the evidence that I saw in my own eyes just 2 nights ago. I was surprised to see him there, honestly. He was there. It's a good thing. For this reason, we find that the pure Imam, alayhim salam, showed extraordinary concern for preserving and remembrance of Ashura. The Imam, they made sure this Ashura is over and over every year. They themselves held morning gathering and encouraged poets to compose and recite poetry about Imam Hussain. They encouraged and assembled a mourning and weeping for Hussain, and they explained the immense reward associated with mourning the Imam. The Imams did not leave the matter solely to the discretion of the believers. They didn't say, if you wanted to just revive it, you go ahead. If you wanted to commemorate Imam Hussain, if you wanted to make majlis, it's up to you. If you want to do it, you do it or not. No. Imam made sure we know this is a must. They're looking further ahead. They're looking centuries ahead. This is how important the Ashura is, how important Majalis Ashura is. It's how important to attend Ashura. They're looking ahead. You're gonna keep that revived, keep it going. So they didn't leave it solely to the discretion of the believers. Rather, there was continuous guidance and care from them with the aim of preserving the Hussaini movement from being lost. This ongoing care became a source of a spiritual motivation for commemorating Imam Hussain, and also formed an educational and cultural project that preserved the Hussaini movement throughout successive generations. If you notice, when you go to Ashura, we don't just talk about the majlis. We don't all just majlis, go over it again and again every year. We do it just to remind ourselves of what happened. It revives that, it brings it back alive. But we don't just talk about that. We bring whatever issues we have in life. We bring political, social issues, community issues. It brings all that to help also raise our new generation that's rising, that's coming up. We bring all of that into Ashura. So Ashura is basically a school. It teaches us to keep going forward. It became a source of a spiritual motivation for commemorating Imam Hussain, and also formed an educational and cultural project that preserved the Hussaini movement throughout successive generations. Factor 8, the failure of successive authorities to erase the cause of Imam Hussain. I just talked about Bahrain. This guy thinks he can compel that movement. He's doing his best. He's trying his best. That tyrant leader in Bahrain. It didn't work with Saddam. It's not going to work with him. It didn't work with Yazid. It's not going to work with anybody else. This Ashura movement is going to continue. The commemoration of Imam Hussain will continue. The more they try to press us, to stop it, to not show up, to not revive it, the more we rise up. The more we bring it back up again. It makes us more defiant. It gives us that strength to even go further. So in Bahrain now, I don't know, I know it was 30 some alim, maybe 60 by now. I know just 2 nights ago, they arrested another major guy that does the majalis in Bahrain. Arrested him thinking if this guy is not there, people really love listening to this person, they may not show up. It brought people even more to the street. Last night, the police said past 12, everybody was arrested. They all stayed past 12 o'clock. That's defiance. You cannot compel this movement. And that throughout history, it didn't work, and it's not going to work now. It's faced relentless attempt at suppression and eradication. At times, tyrannical authorities even considered killing those who commemorated to be the most effective method. They thought by killing those alim, by killing the people that deliver the majlis, like I just talked about, the alim that was buried alive, Saddam and his police buried him alive in Iraq, just thinking that would compel people, would scare people. We see that. Saddam tried to even stop. You know, during Saddam Hussein, you couldn't even do the walk for Imam Hussein. You'd be arrested. At times, they were shooting at people that walk in. They used to go walk in a different city to get to Imam Hussein. They don't want even allow you to walk. Not because Saddam was against Shia itself. No, no, no. Saddam is a tyrant. He's a dictator. He's just against. He was scared if that movement that will throw him out, will put him out of power. That was the key thing. If you're a Shia in Iraq and you're okay with Saddam and his tyranny, his dictatorship, and you're okay with his ruling of Iraq, he has no problem with you. But his problem was that movement could topple him. That was his case. And same thing now you see in Bahrain. Inshallah, it won't be long before this tyrant in Bahrain will be removed as well, because they keep pressing and suppressing. So that is true throughout history. They were killing alims also to stop them from Ashura movement, and that never stopped it. Yet all of those efforts ended up in failure. It's like they don't learn. They don't read history. They don't learn. It just never works. For the more intense the repression became, the more devoted the followers of Imam Hussain have become, and keeping this cause alive. Who said here, we're in the West after all that, you see so many places commemorating Ashura over and over again. It's making Western people, non-Muslim people, look into it and see what is it about. This is entirely consistent with the pattern of history. Causes that are suppressed often, whenever they suppress people, it pushes those people to rise up, to create revolution, rise up again. Every country, in every continent, throughout whatever history, it always happened that way. The 9th factor, I think I'm number 9. What happened in Karbala did not appeal only to the intellect. It penetrated deeply into the heart and conscience of people, not just people that, read history or know about it. No, it penetrated deeply, emotionally with people. No fair-minded reader can study the event of this blessed movement without being moved by its event and action and its participants and the value that it embodied. I was watching a video of a guy from Gaza a few days ago. A journalist was asking him, why are you rising up talking about Imam Hussain? Remember, he's not in an environment that talk about Imam Hussain and that movement. The journalist was asking, and a neighbor gathered and telling him, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? What are you doing? He said that he spent years in prison, in Israeli prison. The Palestinians spent years in Israeli prison. He said someone handed him a book about Ashura, about Imam Hussein's uprising in prison. He read it. Whenever the guy talks about it, he cries. He goes, I am 30-some years old. I think he's 36. He goes, I didn't know about this. He goes, why no one ever told me since I was a kid? Why no one ever teach me about that since I was a kid? Until I went to prison, someone handed me that. Those in prison are suffering. So they're seeking, that's what we talked about earlier, they're seeking for anything to give them that hope that yes, they will be free one day. Someone handed him that book, he learned about Imam Hussain. This guy lost his mind, how come I don't even know about this? He never knew it existed. He just thought Imam Hussain was the grandchild of the Prophet ﷺ, and he died when he was young, and that's it. The story ended right there. But look, throughout history, all these tyrants, all these dictators, most recent was Saddam and the guy in Bahrain now, and of course the rest of the Gulf countries. But those are the people that working so much against Ashura. It never worked. It's still, this story still lead to other people still see it. They still look at it like with hope, that it gives them hope that yes, they rise up and they'll get somewhere. Such as patience, loyalty, truthfulness, sincerity, selflessness, dignity, honor, courage, sacrifice, submission to the command of Allah, contentment of His decree, and faith. You believe this is your faith. We believe. You rise up, you stand up, and then leave the rest to Allah. That's this. It's combined both the two powerful elements: the strength of thought and the warmth of emotion. What it take? You're emotional, you feel that, you need some strength to rise up. And when these two elements come together in a movement, it is certain to become more deeply rooted and far more enduring in its influence and reach. Just a little example of that. Everybody talk about Rosa Parks in history here in this country. Talk about Rosa Parks, how she stood up to them. But even before Rosa Parks, there was a lady, a young lady, 15-year-old, I think, Claudette Colvin, her name. She was 15-year-old. She's sitting on a bus. That was before Rosa Parks. They don't talk much about it. I didn't study history in this country, but I know on the media they don't talk about it. But Claudette Colvin was 15-year-old, a black lady. She sitting in her seat. A white woman walked in and they expected her to get up. She refused to get up. 15-year-old, just remember, 15-year-old, she refused to get up. Said, no, she's not better than me. She stayed in her seat, and that caused the movement. Just that one lady, young lady, caused the movement. Why are you better than me to take my seat? And this is on a segregated bus. This lady stood up. She couldn't take it anymore. So the more they pushed to oppress people, people would rise up. And that's the same thing from Imam Hussain days till these days. Revolutions continue, and people take example of Imam Hussain. Like I said, Gandhi in India, he said, Imam Hussain revolution gave me that hope, gave me the teaching that I could rise up against the most powerful at the time, England. He said, that gave me the hope to rise up. So Imam Hussain doesn't just influence Muslim, influence everybody else. Because it's a uprising for truth. And truth sits with everybody. Everybody wants to get to the haqq, truth. Everybody wants to get to what's right. And that Imam Hussain leads that. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. اللهم صل على محمد
وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Are we late? I'll try and be quick. Again, the Majalis al-Hussainiyya, the reason Imam Hussain alayhi salam released his companion from their pledge of allegiance may have been that he wanted to make it clear to them Remember, Imam Hussain told them, here's the layl. This is the darkness. This is the night. Go ahead. You're free from my allegiance. Because remember, he's free from his allegiance. Basically, he's saying it's okay if you want to go, go. He's relieving them from that duty, which if they leave, they could leave. They're not committing something bad against the Imam, against the Khalifa of the time. No, they could leave. So he's saying, okay, go ahead, you're free. Here's the darkness, here's nighttime, go ahead. So, and to all future, this is not just for them that may have been that he wanted to make it clear to them. No, no, this is Imam's making it clear for generations to come. That those who fought alongside him until Murtadim did not, until became Shaheed, they did not do so merely out of loyalty. Remember, at that time, some people would just be loyal based on tribal loyalty, based on religious, based on sect, based on whatever, based on, being Arab from this side or that side. No, no, Imam tried to free them from that. You're free. If you want to go, go. What they wanted me, just if you wanted to go, go ahead. Nor because they imagined themselves bound to the obligation as was commonly understood at that time. When the Imam announced that he had released his companion from their pledge, he intended to show all generations that they fought with him not simply to honor the pledge, nor out of a tribal loyalty or family ties, or out of they don't want to be embarrassed, we're leaving. Imam said, this is nighttime. No one's going to see you. Pick up yourself and go at night. No one's going to know. You don't have to be embarrassed. Withdrawing a promise or any other similar motive. No, he said, just go ahead. You're free to go if you want to go. The same applied to the members of his household also. He told his household. He also released them from their pledge, leaving them free to make whatever decision they wished. No one among them or anyone else could imagine that they were under any form of pressure. Nobody was under pressure with Imam Hussain movement. No one fought with Imam Hussain was under pressure to be there. No one felt, embarrassed and they just died because I don't want to flee during the day. I don't want to be embarrassed. No, no, no. They were solid with Imam Hussain. No one among them or anyone else could imagine that they were under any form of pressure or that they felt compelled by any circumstances to remain with Imam Hussain. Whatever decision they chose, they were fully capable of carrying it out. They could have fled. They could have fled, even if that decision was to withdraw from the battle. There's difference between, if you're in an army in the middle of a battle, difference between a commander tell you, hey, you could go ahead and leave, or you just flee. If you flee, you deserted your command, you deserted the army, deserted the battle. There's punishment for it. No, if the commander releases you, you can go. Here, Imam Hussain, as the Khalifa, as the Imam, as their leader, he said, go ahead, you're free. You don't have to be attached to this. In doing so, he made it clear that those who were later murtared alongside him had the ability to leave, had the ability to flee if they want to from the battlefield. Under the cover of night, he pointed this out to them when he said, night has come, it cover you at night, go ahead, no one's going to see you, so take it as you want it to. This means that the battle was not imposed upon them. His ashab, his companion, battle was not imposed on them. The death was not their only option. They had an option to flee. And that they had not fallen into a trap from which that was no escape. It's not like they were there and I have no way to go, I must fight. No, he gave them, they can go. They could have escaped. They were not so completely surrounded that they could not free themselves from a grasp of their enemies. They could have fled. Indeed, Imam Hussain alayhi salam himself could have used the darkness of night to flee. But he said, no, he knows what he's facing. He stood there and waited for it. Let it come. That's the will of Allah. He could have gone during the night to disappear from sight of his enemy, making it impossible for them to capture him thereafter. No, he stood the ground. He gave his companion every option that they wanted to. If they want to leave, they all stuck by it. Because remember, if that person there because they're being embarrassed or because of tribal connection or sect connection or any other connection, that they feel like they're forced to fight that battle, if they die in it, they're not shaheed really. Because you didn't die for the cause. You died because you were embarrassed to leave or you're scared to leave or whatever other reason. So they would not be shaheed. They're shaheed because they died for the cause itself. That was something similar to the Arab tactics at the time Arab and Persian used to fight. And the Arab used to do that. During the day they fight the Persian. At night, when the darkness fell, they flee. They leave the scene and they go in the desert. Next morning the Persian would wake up, these guys are not here. They don't know where they're gone in the desert. The army would have awakened the next day to find no one in the battlefield, unable to determine direction where those Arab fighters have gone. And then it should be noted that this stance taken by Imam Hussain alayhi salam toward his companions served to deepen their insight, elevate their faith and awareness, which is still come to us these days. We take example and lesson from that and make them more steadfast, determined, strong, courageous, and willing to advance in the face of hardship. No matter what we face, we always say, Ashura was worse. Imam Hussain faced a lot more. Things are happening in South Lebanon right now. Look at people in Gaza. They still, in South Lebanon, they tell you what happened in Ashura was even worse. It just gives us that look, something to look at. They would also receive divine reward for making such a choice, because they didn't just do it by anything. They do it because they're committed to the cause. Because the battle against Imam Hussain was to eradicate Islam. Yazid, that was his role. That was his intention. That eradicate Islam. It's not Imam Hussain. It's not something personal. It's the religion itself. In any case, we may see that if any of them had decided to withdraw from the battle of Karbala, and Imam Hussain alayhi salam had no need for them. No need for them. He could have just been by himself. For if he remained and was killed without truly fighting in defense of the Imam and the religion, they would not be shaheed. They would be just dead fighters. Imam Hussain alayhi salam did not wish to deceive or mislead such people. Whoever does not fight in defense of the Imam, the institution of the imamate, and the religion lacks the qualification that make one worthy of martyrdom in the holiest battle, a battle whose martyrs are the finest of martyrs. Such a rank belongs only to those truly deserving it. Therefore, purifying the Hussaini movement of those who did not measure up to its standards, whether in awareness, faith, spiritual sincerity, was a necessary and avoidable step. Just quick, the reason what Imam Hussain caused for the people and how Imam Hussain would save people. Some say, why did he die? For that, he could have stayed alive. Just a little story that was written years ago. Story with a lesson that has fascinated, this will be quick and then I'm done, has fascinated me and other people and still does today about what we could learn from Ashura. Imam Hussain alayhi salam, throughout his martyrdom, created a shock for believers to see what we need in this world. It is said that two men skilled in painting climbed one day a high place to paint a wall, a place that's very high, to paint a wall. They were standing on a wooden platform without any protective back support, just what they stand on, like you see the scaffolding these days, but the scaffolding has some back to protect you in case you tip over. These guys went there on something to stand, but there's no back cover for them. After one of them finished his work, he admired it so greatly and wanted to step backward to observe it more carefully from back. You do something great, you stand back, say, let me look at this from a distance. This guy wanted to step back. He was so impressed by what he did, he wanted to step back, forgetting that he was standing on a platform without any protection behind him. He forgot that. He was so into his painting, he forgot that part. His companion noticed what was happening, but there was no time to warn him, no time to catch him or anything. So what his companion did, he got his brush and went quickly to the painting of the other artist. So he decided to do something that would shock him. So quickly, he sketched out his brush toward his companion's painting to ruin it. That quickness caused the guy that was about to fall, caused him freaked out. It's going to ruin his painting. This guy started his action right away. Instead of stepping backward, he moved forward to save his painting. The lesson here is this guy was about to ruin the painting of the guy. That saved him from falling backward. Imam Hussain, alayhi salam, his martyrdom was to save us, to save everybody from that fall, to save the religion, to keep Islam going. Otherwise, we will see Islam like ISIS was trying to show us Islam. We'll see Islam where they say, right now you see in Mecca, parties and gathering, and they pay millions of Muslim money to get rappers and dancers and other people to have parties and gathering around Mecca. We would have seen that Islam if Imam Hussain didn't rise up and did his revolution. Because right now they're trying to bring those days, they're trying to bring Quraysh days to Mecca. So say, oh, we're not so religious, we're not so fanatic, let's bring that, and then just bring people from all walks of life, pay millions of dollars of Muslim money that go to Hajj, and that oil money there that belong to Muslims, to bring those people and pay them to do that. Just to live up what Quraysh wanted to live. That fought the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Muhammad.